Hello, everyone. I am Dr. LaDonna McAbee, and welcome to the Unstoppable Conversations. And I'm here with Ryan, and we are going to talk about anything that comes up because we are just going to start and run with it. Now, Ryan, I know that you have a coaching program and you have books and you have all kind of things that you do to help others. But tell me something just short of about you and what you do. Like 60 seconds.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll start off. I'm Ryan T. Reichert. I'm from a small town in North Dakota called Hoople or Tatertown, USA. But really, I think what defines me and my coaching and writing and speaking program is 23 years in the Army. So retired Lieutenant Colonel, Airborne Ranger. Spent 4 years in the not so cool Middle East. And I spent a short stint in Fortune 500 in risk management before starting our protection today when it comes to just being of service and helping out the next child of God that wants to better themselves and find their true God-given purpose.
That is awesome. Now, you spent your time in the military. Thank you so very much for your service. And then going out of the country and, keeping our our country, our universe safe and secure. And a lot of people don't understand when you're in the military, you're in the military. They own you, period. They own you and they own your spouse, they own your children because you're going to do what they tell you to do. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Ryan, I remember, my husband and I met in high school and we married right after high school. And guess what? That's when he went into the military. And I remember my very first speeding ticket at Fort Hood, Texas. Do you know before the MP got done with me, they had already contacted whoever it was over my husband to let them know, for him to get me under control.
Yep.
It was a speeding ticket. I will never forget it. At my old age now, I still remember it like yesterday. The military owns you while you're there. That's the way I visualize it. Because let me tell you, I never had another speeding ticket on Fort Hood property.
No, you're not wrong.
You know that
Definitely becomes just who we are. It was certainly a profession. You live in it, and I laugh because tell a little story here real quick. Now my daughters are 18 and soon to be 20, but when they were little, they moved off post finally when they were in high school. They were really like, "Wow, we want to live on post again." Never thought this would ever come out of their mouths, but because they basically got to bike anywhere they wanted to, they would go to the commissary, the PX, and the gas station whenever they wanted with their friends, and we didn't have to worry about it because, yeah, like you say, the military police, and there was 12-foot tall walls that protected anybody coming or going.
exactly. And
And
everybody watched after everyone else. That's just
yes,
the way it was.
yeah.
So, Ryan, what brought you to doing what you do today?
Yeah. So, after I retired and went into Fortune 500 and started, a risk management division for the corporation I worked with, it was about 2.5, 3 years after retirement. There was a major layoff, and all of a sudden, I found myself smack dab in the middle of my divorce. And what was I supposed to do next? I was already in about, I don't know, 8, 9 months into my recovery journey. I'm a recovering alcoholic and prescription drug addict. And basically, next thing you know, our Protector LLC was formed a year ago, this past December now. And I started writing the first book, God Only Knows When the Devil Comes to Your Second Chance at Life. That one came together pretty quickly. At that time, I was a year sober and, fighting for my children, everything else that came along with the divorce, while I still was, basically being a new entrepreneur, you're unemployed per se. And really just for the first time in my life, kind of out in the wilderness wandering. Next thing you know, basically we write a second book, The Icarus Effect, the highs and lows of our emotions. We all have feelings. That was kind of my, starting to come out of the valley slightly and realizing that I could no longer be a boy and continue to tell lies and live a life that just, my moral character was corroded, eroded, just completely disarrayed towards the tail end of my alcoholism and my prescription drug addiction. Well, the cool thing is when you write books, people want to hear what you have to say. So you start speaking on stages. First started with the Coeur d'Alene Summit last summer, and that was wonderful to share the stage with people like Tim Tebow and Ed Milet and many others, and very neat to like learn about development in such a way. I was always doing talent management and leader development in the military, but in the corporate side of the house, there wasn't as much, it wasn't a focus. And I kind of like, I did what I did with those who are on my team, but overarching, I think there was definitely this missing link. Kind of in my thesis when I was at the military command and general staff college, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, I did a thesis on leadership development, the importance of communication, trust, and legacy, where that showed basically the Army had a certain way that we would counsel or develop, but it really wasn't a very specific back and forth, or really having the ability to listen to your subordinate. And that communication style then would create the necessary trust that would show the proper way to do development. And then therefore you create a legacy. And the general officers over time and space that did that well, they had a great lineage and legacy of other leaders underneath them, and those that went on, and obviously once they retired and so forth. And now, as I continue to cultivate the business, I start to reach out to old military buddies that maybe are still in, or some have retired, or some got out along the way. And it's really neat to hear them go back 5, 10, 15 years, whenever we did work together. And, I was always senior to them, retiring as lieutenant colonel. But they basically were like, what you did, I didn't have other leaders do that. And I took that on then as, how I mentored, my subordinates and so forth. And it's just really neat to see that basically come in full circle. And now what I do today and love so much in the business is what I was always doing. I just didn't really realize it. So today it makes me feel really to know that you're just of service and can be of help.
That is awesome. And Ryan, you said something to the effect you were doing it all along. You just didn't realize it. I kind of have that same story. I was teaching along the way for years and never even realized it. And then one day I stopped and said, wow, look how many people I have helped reach their goals, to reach their path, get them in the direction that they wanted to go. And I always think that's really important when you're coaching someone. And I know that you have a coaching program. Can you tell us a little bit? I know not too much, just a little bit about your coaching program so that the audience will know kind of more what you do and how you can help them.
Yeah, absolutely. In its simplest form, I teach focus, and that stands for faith, opportunity, consistency, unconditional kindness, and standard. So, whatever, I have an assessment and you come on board, and basically I ask you that, what would you like to focus on? And I'll just listen. Obviously, we all have kind of, we believe we want to go in life. And I just fill in the blanks along the way, really, because most people have, somewhat of a foundational aspect per se of what they want. They're just not consistently putting in the work to get it. And that just is, if as I look back on life, I always had a coach. I just didn't know it wherever it was along the way, or a mentor. Now, today in business, I have the same. I speak. I have a speaking coach. I write. I have a writing coach. Business, first time around as an entrepreneur, I have a sales and marketing coach because that certainly wasn't taught in the military.
Right.
So as we look at like areas where we want to improve, I know currently as I go through John Maxwell's program, his big one is personal growth, right? And the dynamics of where each day do you put an hour in towards becoming, an expert in the area that you want to become an expert in. And Yeah, for me, writing a book, I mean, I just tell everybody at the end of the day, if you want to write a book, 30 minutes a day, that's all you got to do. And in a month, you'll have a book. Because I guarantee you, the first day you sit down for 30 minutes, you don't write anything on a piece of paper or type anything, whatever that looks like. The next day, you'll have something to write down. It might not be what you believe your topic's going to be about, but you're going to write something. And the next thing you know, it just continues to flow that way. So, one thing that I'll give away for sure is you get to win every day. And for me, I do it between 5 and 9. Between 5 and 9 locks in your 9 to 5. And there's 3 wins. It's a
I love
physical
that.
win, it's a mental win, and it's a spiritual win. Those 3 things, depending on how you want it to look like. For me, when I started this a couple years ago, it was just walking the dog around the neighborhood. That was my physical win. That's where I was at in life. I was in a really low point, and that's all I could do. But you know what? That was enough. It was until started. I started reading again, and then I started writing, just my thoughts, just jotting stuff down, things that would come to mind, that things I did in the military, things I did, when I obviously was in a home with both my children, kind of thing. And as that grew, the next thing you know, it was journaling full on every day and so forth. And to that end, as we look at how each person that I work with in the program, the course helps with getting you outside of yourself and into the worksheets and so on and so forth that we have. And it's really a contract that you make with yourself on how you want to further develop those 3 areas, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. And every time I reflect on my past, when I've done that, in the military, it's pretty easy. You're showing up for the boys and girls in the morning. You got a meeting, then you got a formation, then you work out together, clean up, and then you go about your business. Well, it's not the same like when you're on your own, or corporate America, whatever that looks like. You don't have to work out if you don't want to. But I think it's the comedian Jimmy Carr. I saw him on an interview, and he's like, I'll play Genie. Just ask me your wish. And the guy that was interviewing him was like, well, I want to have good health. And he's like, no problem. All you have to do is work out 3 or more times a week, and your nutrition is 80% of it. Your wish is my command. And I'm thinking, like, through all this, it's so true. Anything we truly want. I used to not sleep very well. Probably the alcohol certainly didn't help. Some of the drugs didn't help. But now I find myself, having no problem 9 o'clock at night, finding myself like going to bed and sleeping like a baby till 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's only because you're activating yourself. Time's an illusion. When someone's like, "Oh my goodness, you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning," that's so early. It's just like, well, what time do you go to bed? That's all it is. Like if you sleep midnight, sleep until 8, it's no different. It's that dynamic. You're just shifting it. So it's really this perspective of shifting ourselves 1 to 2 degrees in either direction so you can see what everybody else sees. And those are your blind spots. And it's just really working through those. And how do you really want to develop yourself in the manner that kind of etching yourself out of stone to create the masterpiece that you have in your mind, but you can't see how to get there because that's why we need to have a coach. And as a teacher, it's no different.
Exactly. You said so much in that little bit of time. And for some people, it can teach so much. And it's going to hit home for so many. One thing I heard you say is listening. So many times we don't sit and just listen to the person talking to us. You're there, you're nodding your head, but you're not really listening. But it's also, we don't always listen to ourselves either. And that is one important thing that I picked up when you were talking about listening. It is a skill that we all need to learn. And it's a hard skill. I love to speak. I love to talk. That is my thing. So listening sometimes becomes very hard. And I have had to train myself to stop and listen and then talk. And then people will listen to you even more. The other thing is that when you didn't say it out loud, but you did say it. It's all about the mindset. You have to set yourself up with positive people around you. and you will become more positive. And you kind of said that when you were talking, Ryan, even though you didn't say the word mindset.
Yeah. No, mindset is definitely, I took mine from Ben Newman's coaching. He's definitely somebody who, when you look at, I think 7 years now, he's worked out every single day. He's got his, 4-4-4 workout. It's one of those where you just realize it's discipline over feelings, it's growth over comfort. Mel Robbins has what, the 5-4-3-2-1. I'm that way every single morning in bed. Trust me, when my alarm goes off, the last thing I want to do is get out of bed. I don't want to sit there. It's warm, it's comfortable. First meeting of the day is not till like 8:30 normally. So it's 4 in the morning. I lay here for a couple hours. No big deal if I wanted to.
That's right.
Next thing you know, I'm back to where I was at, after military retirement. And I'd gained 50 pounds. And one of those where you just stopped doing what had got you to where you were at. Those are the things today where the mindset, the purpose, what do you want when it comes to your life? You get to choose. And that's the problem. As human beings, we crave comfort. So the dynamic is your mindset. And what do you want and what are you willing to do to get it?
Exactly. You set yourself up to be the best person for you, not for anyone else, for you. Set yourself up to be the best person for yourself. One thing I want to say before we leave, because I know we're almost out of time, is you talked about writing, you talked about books, you talked about journaling. Until about 2 years ago, I had never journaled, and I did not have my own books. I was never in a chapter in a book, nothing. But you know what, Ryan, I set myself up to be around the people that did journal and the people that did publish books and write books and, all these fabulous things that I was almost scared to do because I didn't think I could do it. So I surrounded myself with all these wonderful humans that do this every day. And now I am in different books, best-selling author, international best-selling author, writer. I have my own programs that I sell. I've never thought in a million lifetimes I could do that. And the only reason I'm saying this and telling you this is that it's all about how you think about yourself and putting the people around you that can help you build upon what you're wanting to build. So I want to leave everyone with that, Ryan, because I think everyone can learn. And I know that you hit home to several different people out there listening to us right now. And I know that they can reach out to you on social media and you'll be more than happy to talk with them. So reach out to Ryan. Ryan is on social media. Find him, talk with him, set up a time with him, and get to know Ryan better. You will be a better person by doing that. Thank you so very much. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Until next time. Bye-bye now.